Corb Lund here, welcome to What That Song Means Now. I'm going to take one of my songs each episode, take it apart a little bit for you and tell you a little bit about the music maybe and how I wrote it and why I wrote it and what it's about and cryptic hidden meanings, that kind of thing. Stick around. I wrote my new song on a $5 bill, but I won't be able to sing it until I get a hot on the trail. But I pick up the track, up the doodle little thief and get my $5 back. Howdy everybody, my name is Corb Lund. I'm going to tell you a little bit about that song. It's called $5 Bill. We wrote it years ago. I wrote it years ago. It was on my third record, and it's kind of about bootlegging whiskey into Montana. It's greatly embellished, but it's loosely based on stories my grandfather told me. His ranch was is about 5 miles north of the Montana border down near Cardston, or Beezer in Alberta. And apparently there was I looked this up on the internet one time and I can't remember the details, but there was a brief period of time in the 20s when the Americans had made booze illegal, but it was still legal in Canada before we made it illegal also. I think that's how it went. But there was a period of time anyway where there was a lot of money to be made by horseback and whiskey over the pass into Montana and selling it to guys down there. So my grandpa may or may not have had a little or a lot to do with that. I don't really know, but he told me some pretty good stories. But yeah, the song's kind of neat because it's also one of the first times that I encountered the concept of realizing that the dumber and sillier sounding a melody and rhythm is, sometimes the more popular it is. Because this song I almost threw it out because I always have a million things going through my head when I'm writing songs. I have a million melodies and some make the cut and some don't. And I have an internal critic that sort of draws the line at a certain point. But I was just banging this one around one day and somebody heard it because all I had was wrote my new song on a $5 bill, but I won't be able to sing it up. You know, it sounds kind of dumb, right? I thought. Somebody's like, yeah, that's great. I was like, no, it isn't. That's not great. That's dumb. And they're like, no, it isn't. Finish it. So I finished it. And I tried to smarten it up a little bit in the verses, but I learned much more about that later when I wrote the truck song. But anyway, we'll get to that later. But the song is kind of interesting in the musically. Part of these little series of videos is going to be part guitar lesson, 30% guitar lesson. So an interesting thing about the verse in this song, like the chorus is just the two chords, the 1 and the 5 chord. The verse is interesting because it's got something called cycle of fifths or the cycle of fourths. I can't remember what you call it. It depends which way it goes, I guess. But it's a jazz thing, I think. At least that's where I heard of it. And instead of just having your typical 2 or 3 chords that you find in a country song, it kind of spices things up a little bit because you sort of start on the 1 chord and then you jump to another chord that's a little bit out of the diatonic scale, and then you go from that chord to its fourth, to its fourth, its fourth, until you wind up at the 5th chord of the root again. And someone who knows guitar theory can explain it better than that, but this is what it sounds like. So it kind of goes from the 1 to the 3 to the 6 to the 2 to the 5 back to the 1. And that's probably a little confusing depending on your level of guitarmanship, but have somebody explain it to you. It's kind of good. It's a good way to spice up your country songs. But also interesting about that song is that was back in the days when I didn't have Grant in the band, so I was responsible for all the guitar solos. So this is about as good as it gets for me. I got lots of laughs in that last part when I played solo. But anyway, yeah. Sure, what else I can tell you about that song. It was kind of neat because it was one of our first popular songs. The first couple of records we had were pretty underground. Nobody knew about them. And then $5 Bill was sort of a point where we sort of broke out of the mold a little bit and country radio started playing us. And that song is one of the first sort of iconic songs in our you know, a repertoire, if you want to push it that far. But it remains a live favorite to this day. And actually, unlike some of my songs that have been quite popular, I still really enjoy playing that one. Yeah, it's fun. What else can I tell you? I think that's about it. I'll leave it there, and I'll get back at you pretty soon with another song. Here comes a storm across the border with 6 or 8 guys, some damn fool saw 50 deputized. There weren't no sheriff nor marshal inside. I guess the lawman was up and drinking whiskey all night.